get right into it. At 5:30, we have Mr. Patrick Brock from the Hampshire County Retirement.
Thank you for seeing me tonight. Try to make this quick. And that takes a lot of strength in me because I could talk about the retirement system for a long time. And this past year, the budget, the state budget, contained legislation recognizing the increase in cost of living. And so instead of the normal cap of 3%, they proposed legislation that would allow it to go to 5%. And I'm going to try to cover as much as I can. I forwarded information to you. There's some information, hopefully you had a chance to look at a little bit of it. The state and state teachers, the largest retiree groups in the state, get it through the budget automatically. There's an outside section of the budget that takes care of all of the local retirement systems, which there are 102 in the state. They are cities, towns, counties, agencies, and a thing called regional retirement systems, which are Hampshire County as a survivor of the demise of the county retirement. So we're a little bit different. Governor Baker looked at the language and he passed it on the state and the state teachers, but he returned the language that was in the budget to the legislators, saying that it was, in my words, poorly written and was not succinct. And what he thought was that this is a significant change from this because in '99, we were given, local retirement boards were given the authority to do and make decisions on COLAs after it gets certified by all the communities and agencies. We also have the ability to raise the base. So the COLA is a percentage, maximum of 3, and then on a base, started at 12%. State raised theirs to 13, we raised ours to 13. Other communities have been raising it much higher. Hampshire County believes in funding the system and wants to stay focused on funding the system. Every time we raise any part of the COLA, it affects the unfunded liability. So we wanted to be concerned about that. And I actually gave you some information from our actuary that said this is what it does. I was elected in 1986. We were a pay-as-you-go system. The county retirement system had $15 million in the bank. We closed the year, this past year, at $450 million, and at 70% actuarially funded, actually 78% market value. So we're on the way. We've shortened the schedule. There's been some big increases in the past. We did it in such a way that after this year, the increases should be much less. So we're working on that, and we stay focused on that. We use the argument that the teachers that work within the county and the state teachers retirement system, and they are mandated under the state budget and everything, that has always been a maximum of 3% on a base of 13,000. Other local boards have been electing to go higher on the base, which increases the unfunded liability. And we want to get closer to full funding before we will consider that. So in our paperwork that we gave you, if we look at the number of people that are retirees that would qualify for this, it's a cost, a one-time cost, initial cost, an annual cost of $527,000 for 37 units within the Hampshire County retirement system. Since a COLA is a fixed addition to the pension fund, it's not a one-time, it's fixed. When we do a next year's COLA, that becomes fixed. This year, our actuary calculate on our present retirees that would create an unfunded liability of $2.6 million. Some people ask me if, are you scared working with that kind of money? And I go, it's only numbers. And I suggest to you that it's only numbers. How we distribute that is what we call a distribution of aggregate salaries. So, in one of the documents there, we looked at our distribution model for 2022. So, and we figured out what the impact of that was. Of note here is that how we set our funding schedule. Our funding schedule is done every 2 years by an actuary. They come in, download a whole bunch of data, identify a liability for everybody, identify what our target goal in returns should be, and what the level of unfundability that needs to be paid off over a certain amount of time. We were very, very fortunate. 20 and 21 were both double-digit years in investment return. So we've really got ahead of ourselves and are in good position. So this is a good time to do this. Many people have asked me, well, how many retirees do I have? And so we did the survey on that, and Granby has a total of, if I remember, 69 retirees in the system. So the actuary sets the funding schedule, and the funding schedule can't be changed until the next valuation. One of the things that can be changed on a yearly basis is our distribution model. So the actuary does a funding system and a schedule for the whole system. Each year, we review the aggregate salaries submitted by the towns, and then we distribute according to that relationship of the individual unit to the total, and it comes out with a percentage. For example, Amherst, our largest unit, is 25.79%. Granby, you're 4.76% of our total distribution. So that can change, and often does, every year, every time we get the aggregate salaries, because there's a change in personnel, change in somebody replaces somebody, they go out on retirement, and the person replaces them makes a little bit less money, everything that goes on there. So it's a number calculation. We feel very confident that this is a good thing to do, recognized as a 5%. I will be very, very honest and say that for 2022, we suffered a 10.9% loss, along with a lot of other people. We were told we were about in the middle. So that's it. The legislation before you, Chapter 269 of the Acts of 2022, requires us to go out to the towns, and it's probably due to a lack of understanding that we've always had our advisory council as our legislative authority to approve like increases in the base. So this is the first time we've ever done this, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions. That's why I chose to come and answer all your questions. So we're asking you, the board approved it March 18th, I believe, or March 8th. We approved it, and the next thing is each town, 18 towns, has to approve it and notify us that they've approved it, and we have to get 2/3 of the towns in order for us to certify that and send it to the regulator to have it approved. And I guess, in my effort to be short, I'll say, are there any questions?
Crystal, any questions?
No, but just to, I guess just to kind of sum up what you're saying is we're going from our annual percentage of 3%, and it would be increased to 5% due to the cost of living increase.
Right. The Social Security cost of living was 5.7%.
Okay.
So we're a different system, and I emphasize that. Social Security is computed very differently than our system. And I argue a lot of times with my employees because they'd like to see the cost of living every time in their pay. And I go, wage increases is different than cost of living. It's applied differently. you get one number. Not everybody has the same impact of the cost of, or the inflation changes in your own life. So it's a general number, and people have grabbed onto it, you know, especially those that are low paid. They want to get as much of the cost of living as possible. And they feel it the most because it affects them in food and gas and everything else. Those that have had a house for a long time with a fixed mortgage, and if you're lucky to get that adjusted in the last 10 years, it's a 3% mortgage or a 3.5% mortgage. I spent my time paying my mortgage off at 7.5%, and I thought I was lucky. So.
Any questions?
Hands up.
So, you spoke about, right now, the retirement's funded at 78%, correct?
Actuarially, what we do is smoothing on investment gains and losses, so that we're invested in the stock market. We're about 60% in the stock market, our private equity and everything. It's a very volatile market, as we can see. Right. 10.9 last year, and then double-digit 2 years in a row. I can show you the whole list. In smoothing, so we've put aside the difference between 70% and 78%. We've put $42 million aside to be spread out over the next 5 years to be used to offset losses. Okay. So we're really, market value is 78%. Can I say that the market value is going to go from 78 straight up to 100? No. It proves it by last year.
So you, in a roundabout way, you are anticipating possibility of a loss. Excuse me, a loss for 2023?
No, I'm not predicting anything.
Not predicting it, but if it does happen, you're, I guess, planning. You're planning for it, but not that it should happen. But
we have smoothing mechanisms in place with the actuary that offsets a big part of the losses. Not all of them. You just don't transfer the big loss.
Right.
It's a 20% from each of the years that we smooth is applied to that present year. So, and that could be a loss or a gain. So it helps or hurts either way.
So, I guess my big question is, how does that, the additional 2% impact the retirement system? So if you get the 2/3 that you need to move it to the 5%.
The 5% is only one this year. We go back to the law next year unless additional legislation, because the Social Security is now talking 8%. If additional legislation comes up next year and it gets passed, that could happen again. In fact, that's why I took this to visit all the select people, because I think you need a lot of information. Mm-hmm. In my mind, that's another risk. Now, inflation is coming down, and by the time they get legislation, well, you'll say Social Security is going to get 8%, but we're down to already 6% now and coming down. So I don't know how that's going to work legislatively. I do what the legislature tells me to do. So.
And your board is in favor of it? Of
yes.
Going to 5%?
We voted unanimously. Our new member on the board is Sean McGonnell, the finance director from Amherst. And he spoke that small towns were having big troubles. Amherst is having big troubles. And any kind of money is this. I go back to my principle that the teachers have already gotten this and already been paid. And so, and I should also mention that if we get everybody to pass this and we certify this by July 1st or June 30th, we will retroactively pay everybody $260 back to July 1st of last year. So, and that is on the first 13,000. We have a few people, their pensions are less than 13,000, so they would be 3% of whatever their pension is.
I mean, it makes sense. I'm sure people will definitely welcome the extra 2%.
$260 would go pretty fast in any household.
Right, but I mean, like they said, it's the extra 2%. I'm sure people are going to welcome that versus.
Right.
It's I guess, it's being recognized that there is a need for it.
I guess where I really bought into it, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've learned my lessons, listen to people, and listen harder the older I got. It's really important to fund the system and get it fully funded, and then work with the smoothing going forward. A pay-as-you-go system just transfers the burden of the pensions to the next generation.
Right.
We did modeling in the 80s. During 1980, they did 3 major pension reforms. One of them was, in the last one, was setting up this move to go to full funding. We have 104 boards, including state and state teachers, and their funding levels got a big boost if they did their funding schedule 1/1/22, but the range is 107% down to 43%. And so it's a wide range, and some of those lesser funded systems are the ones that are raising their bases to 16,000, 17,000. Yeah, retirees, there's pension erosion. I've been retired for 22 years now, and I was lucky enough to max out at my pension at my age as a firefighter and got 80%. The person who replaced me is about to retire, and so he was in the office and we were kind of looking at numbers. So my pension compared to his salary, which was mine, is now 49%. So that's why I'm working.
Yeah.
That's the other side,
Yeah.
is the cost of the pension system in the last 10 years has been a recognition of longer life, mortality.
Yeah, right.
And that's really added a big burden to the pension system.
Yeah, it's costly. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. All right.
I would certainly read it for you guys, but because I am a school teacher, I think we'll abstain from the vote on this one. Because I'm a school teacher of the Hampshire County.
But you're not
Therefore-
covered under the,
I'm not receiving a pension, I'm working right now, but I still automatically get
but the
this.
teachers have already got their pension.
Okay.
They've already got it.
Okay,
You would be voting for
everyone else.
everyone else.
Okay.
Your
You want me
vote's,
to read?
your
Sure.
vote's important, and I respect your right to abstain. Yeah.
So do you want me to read the short version or the long version? Want me to do the long one?
Do a long one, too.
Okay.
No.
So this is, I'm making a motion to approve the Chapter 269 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to cost of living adjustments for retirees, motion for the Select Board. So I move that the Granby Select Board make the following findings. Whereas Chapter 269 of the Acts of 2022 was approved by the Hampshire County Retirement Board on March 8th, 2023 as required, and whereas the next step in the process of approval is to secure two-thirds of the towns who are members of the Hampshire County Retirement System to receive approval from their select boards, and whereas the Hampshire County Retirement System has provided the cost to the system, an estimated impact cost of the individual towns to be included, and the actuarial valuation as of January 1st, 2024, which will be reflected in that funding schedule for the FY26 retirement appropriations. And whereas the public school teachers of Hampshire County, who are members of the Massachusetts Teachers Retirement System, have already had legislation that approved the same cost of living adjustments. So therefore, the Granby Select Board moves to approve Chapter 269 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to the cost of living adjustments for retirees, and further direct the Granby administration to notify the Hampshire County Retirement System in writing of this vote. So this, just to kind of clarify, I just had a question. This is, you said you're going to retroactively pay them for FY23, but this is saying funding schedule for the FY26
That's when the impact of the increase would
of the
be
inflations.
reviewed by the actuary. So any
Okay.
changes between 2022, January 1st, 2022 to January 1st of 2024 is analyzed by the actuary and included in the new funding system.
Okay.
Although they do this, the new schedule 1/1/24 24.
Okay.
By the time we get the report, it's September, so we've already done the FY, you know, we're jumping years here, 25
Okay.
has already gone out, it'll be off the old schedule, and then it'll be in
Okay.
FY 26. So as
Right, so
far
that's
as
just
what
the
we
funding schedule.
bill you,
Okay.
you know, is usually 2 years in a row off of a schedule, and we don't change it other than the distribution factor of the aggregate salaries.
Okay.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion at this time? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? No? All right. All
Thank you
set.
very much for your time and your consideration and your
Thank you for your work.
money, you know, and you can do it, email or something, just email it. That's fine. You know, I was just looking for that. Yeah. Okay, sure. Worked out.
You all set?
Thank you.
I was actually looking to see if there was the paperwork for the next one, but it's not an appointment, so it's probably in here somewhere because you gotta sign it. Old business, actually.
So we have Chief O'Grady at 6 PM, but we'll do citizen participation, and I believe we have George Randall at this time. Public comment. If you'd like to come up, Mr. Randall, please obviously state your name, excuse me, state your name and address.
George Randall, 52 Taylor Street. Greetings to the board, and thank you for hearing me this evening. I come before you tonight as a member of the 9/11 Memorial Committee for the GRANBY Fire Department. We have met diligently since we approached the board. Every week, we meet on Wednesday night. If anybody would like to come, it's at 6 o'clock at the fire station. The committee changed the design a little bit, and it's a little bit easier of a design to put out there. Initially, we were going to have this in front of the dispatch office at the fire station, and we thought that in order to have it more visible, is that we moved it as you face the fire station to the left, about to the boundaries or the wall between the police station and the fire station. Be more visible to people that drive into the complex. And I have to agree with that. I've met with the building inspector, and he's on board with our plans here. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to just have each of the board take a look at it. If you have any questions,
Thank you.
I can ask. I can answer.
Where's it going again, George?
It's going to be between the police station and the fire station.
So, okay, over that way,
If you face the building, it'll be to the left.
to the left.
So it's by the tree.
I'm sorry?
It's by the tree there,
A little bit farther to the right.
a little further right.
Yeah.
Look more where those parking spots are in the front.
Okay,
I would say probably center or to the left part of those parking spots.
So, George, originally it was just, it was 2 I-beams, now it's just gonna be 1?
It's going to be one I-beam, and the I-beam that you have there shows the piece mounted to it. And it's going to be an upright beam.
And then you guys were going to do a plaque to the side?
We
of
are,
it?
yes.
Okay.
We're in the middle of trying to research the history of this particular piece because it's a serial numbered piece. What we found is that when all of the equipment was sent to a special junkyard, if you will, each piece that was salvaged was serial numbered, and ours is 674. It was handled by the New York and New Jersey Port Authority. Their special commission was decommissioned in 2015 or 2016, and nobody knows exactly where the records are for the history of this particular piece. So we haven't given up on the research. It's just that nobody knows where the records went. You know, people have changed positions, and they've moved along. Some have unfortunately passed away. So when that happens, people lose sight of where things are.
And I know you said the building inspector's okay with it, and Jeremy Carrier was also involved in this, in the discussion of where it was gonna go, because I know he maintains the building, so the last meeting, he was supposed to be involved in
I
it.
believe that he was. It may have
Okay.
been the meeting that I missed.
Okay.
I will, I will check on that. And if it's necessary for me to report back to you, I can. I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
What, George, what's the time frame with it
I'm
now?
glad you asked that. I was going to get to that. We were hoping to, we have DigSafe coming out this week to approve the new location. And when I get their report, I'll attach it to this and submit it to the building inspector. We're hoping to we're tentatively scheduled to dig a hole on April 29. And then of course, you need to let the cement cure for a while, and then we hope to have it erected before Memorial Day.
Okay.
Because the last time we talked, you said you were hoping before 9/11, but May or June-ish was the time
Yeah.
frame. So.
And once we have everything done and the plaque available, we will notify the board of a potential dedication date, and we'd extend a cordial invitation to attend.
Anything else?
No.
All right, well, thank you very much, George, appreciate it, and
Thank you.
definitely appreciate the Firefighter Association, putting this together and staying with it.
It's been a very
Yeah.
interesting process.
Yeah,
Thank you.
quite the history.
Thank you, George.
Very much.
All right, we have another citizen participation, and Nicholas Robinson, regarding to post 266.
Nick Robinson, 114 Pleasant. I wanted to come to the last meeting, but my work ran late, so I wasn't able to attend. I wanted to talk about kind of my experience last year at the beer tent charter days. Went charter days, my girlfriend, I wanted to have a drink. She didn't, mostly because of the crowd in the beer tent. So I went and got a beer. And I didn't really realize of how the fence was set up and everything like that. I was kind of expecting that I would be able to come back out and have a drink, and be with my girlfriend. I just didn't know what was the difference with Granby, because I know I've been to other fairs, the 3-County Fair in Northampton, the Big E Polish Festival out in Berkshire County, and a handful of Canna events that had beer as well. I didn't know what the difference was and why we had the kind of system here, and they didn't have that system in other towns like the 3-County Fair. So it's
Well, for many years, we didn't serve alcohol at Granby Charter Days. So that's something that came about, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago now, or so, somewhere around there. And, being something new, definitely we want to make sure that, at the time, the police chief met with the board and wanted to make sure that whatever we did was make sure that it's a safe environment. So those are some of the, I don't want to say restrictions, but those are some of the things that we came up with so that the police chief felt that it would be you know, a good environment and a safe environment for people that wanted to drink, but also for the people that were participating in the fair that, you know, were not drinking as well. So that was how it came about.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I was curious, because like I said, I've been to other fairs and festivals and haven't really run into the type of situation I did last year. That was my first time at Granby Charter Days in 7-8 years, and I don't remember a beer tent 7-8 years ago,
Right.
so, all right.
But there are other places that have like certain areas that allow for alcohol. That's it. You can't move about.
Yeah.
So that's some of the things that came up.
Yeah, I've seen that. I think I was at the Big E at one location, like the one tent. You had to stay in the tent or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But you just didn't have the double fence and stuff. Like maybe I could come up to the fence and talk to my girlfriend. Like I understand you don't want somebody to hand over beers, but
Well, I think that was some of the concerns that came about when this we first started talking about this again several years ago.
all right. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So, 6:01, so we have Police Chief O'Grady for 6 p.m. Hello.
So I think you guys had questions for me, correct?
We did.
Okay.
We did. So at our last meeting, there were some questions in regards to the time frame. The time frame changed, I believe, from last year to this year. Is that correct?
For the beer tent.
For the beer tent, and we were kind of wondering why.
Honestly, the time frame did not change. I have last year's permits. They're well, I talked to Kathy. Kathy Leonard emailed me on a Sunday about the park.
Yeah.
And I said, just do it as it was the year before.
Okay.
And that's what she did. And it's actually, you can see, at one point, she didn't change one of the effective dates. But for some reason, on Friday, it closed 15 minutes, or the last call serving was 15 minutes prior to Saturday. I don't know why. That's just what we've had in the past. I have a copy. Oh, does Chris have copies of them?
Crystal, you thought it was something different, correct?
Yeah, they served till 10:15 last year, correct? On Friday and Saturday. Yeah.
But that's not what the permit was issued for. Just
What's the time on the permit?
the permit. This last year's was 10 o'clock on Friday and 10:15 on Saturday. I'm not opposed to 10:15 on Saturday, on Friday. It's just, we did what we did before.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so you understand it was the same thing we did
Exactly,
last
just
year,
wanted
no
to keep things
different.
the same, status quo,
Yeah.
because it's worked.
Okay.
But I'm not opposed to over a 15-minute, it's,
What do you say till 10:15? Oh, up here.
How many disorderlies are you getting out of there? Any?
right now, no, we've been pretty lucky, you know?
And then down here, it says 6:11 to 10:15.
Probably the last couple disorders we had weren't even involved in a beer tent, to be honest with you. They were probably packing their own, you know?
Okay.
So again, I'm not opposed to having 10, 15 both days. We did what we did in the past.
So I know we have the gentleman here, we'll talk to him in a minute. All right, so you're not opposed to going?
No, I saw the meeting, and I understand you have a band going to 11. Like I said, it was just what we did in the past.
Okay,
So,
all right. Any questions?
No, he explained a lot.
All right. Chris, any questions?
I do have a question, just kind of as years go on. If this is not a problem in the future, is there any discussion about getting away from a tent, so to speak, and kind of leaving it open like other towns do? Or is there more data you want to collect on it, I guess?
we need some more data.
or-
I think you'd probably
Okay.
have to at least double the amount of officers that are in the park. Right now, if we have something out of hand in the beer tent, which we've never had, we can address it there. If we have somebody that has alcohol that they brought in, we've kicked them out. So I think, you know, we have a limited staff that's there. And I think by having people wander around the park, there's also laws where it has to, the entire area has to be fenced in.
Okay.
Correct. As part of the licensing agent law, there's,
Okay.
I'd have to dig it back out, but there is something that the entire area of the park would have to be fenced in.
Which is not worth it cost-wise for
Right,
us.
right. I mean,
Okay.
so I think limiting it to that area keeps
Okay.
it in check. And as the gentleman asked, the double fence is exactly what he said, so people aren't handing out beers over to minors or anybody else, you know, and keeps it in the area.
Okay. In any possible way, since the gentleman did discuss how it's crammed quarters in there, is there any way to get a slightly bigger tent for them, should they want it, instead of being so packed in?
I think we can put it up for discussion. Sure.
Okay.
I'd like to see what the design looks like.
So it would probably be the same design, just a slightly larger size, because I think they're doing a 40 by 80 right now, or 40 by 80 now.
No,
So
we've-
I think the next one up is probably the size of the food tent, isn't it? I'm trying to think
I
what
don't
the
know.
sizes are for the tents. But they would have to do some research on that, but just
Right. And
thinking
it
ahead,
could be,
because,
you know, depending on how big, you may need an additional officer too. You know, it's just something else that we need to keep an eye on, that's all. Open for discussion, but we need to, safety is the number one thing, you know?
yeah.
Absolutely. Is that something you're thinking about bringing back to the Charter Day Committee for this year, or?
Well, I know there was discussion at one of our meetings where they had asked, you know, is it a possibility to get rid of the tent? And I said it would be a discussion with the police chief and the Board of Selectmen as well, but also just because it is such tight quarters within that confined area, they had asked if it was a possibility to increase the size of the tent so people aren't so packed in and there's room to walk around and stuff. So
So it sounds like a discussion if you're looking to do that, to reach
Yeah.
out to the chief and from the
Okay.
Charter Days Committee and
Okay.
follow up on it that way. Okay.
Yep.
All right, well. So the application for, I think we're all set with you, Chief. I think we have, because you're okay if they go to 10:15.
You wanted to talk about the location of the speed sign?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Tony, before we get up to Charter Day, Chief, do you see kids around the tent that late at night?
Around the tent?
Yeah.
Not
With
usually.
with their parents, obviously,
Well,
but,
technically, they can't be in the tent.
No.
So,
No, he just means like congregating on the outside around it.
I
teenagers or anything like that. You know what I mean?
honestly
This is-
haven't.
I'm trying to get,
My officers have not told me that, so,
Yeah.
you know.
all right, my concern is that it's getting away from a small family affair weekend.
Yep.
And now we got all these bands coming in, and we're getting to the beer tents, and which, I don't have any problem with the beer tents, but it was just like, when does that stop, and how do we, if the kids were getting involved? You haven't seen a problem, so I'm,
No, and like I said, the knock on wood, the last couple of times, the disorderlies have been nothing to do with the beer
it's
tent.
outside of the tent.
Yep.
Okay, that's it. Speed bump,
Speed sign.
speed sign.
Well, that was the location we talked about when we,
It is, and it was.
and honestly, I've had some compliments from the people in the area. It kind of wakes people up as they're coming down the hill that, oh, my speed got away from me a little bit. It's not used to try to trap anybody. It's there to totally alert them that, hey, this is a 35. I know it's going to drop down to a 30, but it's just to say you should be going 35 right here. It doesn't sit in anybody's front yard. It's got great sun so that it's solar powered, so we can, it recharges it. We haven't had any problems with it not working after a couple of days because of bad weather, you know. So that was kind of why the location was suggested. And again, I've had compliments. Actually, one person appealing a citation most recently said he kind of liked it there. It reminded him that he was supposed to slow down. That's what he told the officer while he was at court. So that's why we chose it there.
I just, to myself, I was thinking it would be better off it was pushed back up the hill a little bit before they actually make that.
Honestly,
Okay,
over the
but-
years, that's where we've seen the most speed.
Yeah.
Is as people get down that hill. If you're crossing paths when you're running radar, usually it's not that, because people just come up from Brook. By the time you come from Brook and deal with traffic there, they've already slowed. They're coming back up, and they don't really start gaining a lot of speed until
No,
the bottom of the hill.
I mean, anyway, it works. It's just when you see it and it's flashing 35, but you go, another 2,000 feet up the road, now it's 30.
Right.
It's
It's
almost
just
like-
to alert people
See,
that,
yeah.
hey, this is what the speed limit is right here.
Yeah.
All
All right.
And then I have one thing for you folks. The Mr. Rudd that was with the gentleman you found not responsible for the
Yes.
citation.
Right.
Yeah.
He reached out to Mr. Martin, and Mr. Martin sent him my way. He's looking for something to basically say he was exonerated. So I drove up a letter. We don't have any right to expunge anything by law. I double checked with the district attorney's office. So I did draw up a letter. I dated it today. It's from to Mr. Terry Rudd from the GRANBY Selectboard, dated April 3rd, 2023. Regarding bylaw citation issued. It says, Mr. Rudd, as was discussed at the select board meeting held on February 21st, the select board has found you not responsible for the bylaw violation citation that was issued to you for using the town's dumpster located at the highway department. This means that a copy of this letter will be given to the town clerk showing you were found not responsible and there is no fine. He was looking for something like that just to exonerate him, that years down the road,
And that was the point we were making, that if that person had permission, then there shouldn't be a citation.
absolutely, but, we issued the citation after reporting to the board what happened.
Yeah.
So if you guys, if the board would so kindly sign this letter, and I can get a couple copies from Chris tomorrow, I can give one to Mr. Rudd, get it to the town clerk. I'll put one with a copy of our incident report of the whole issue, and then he has something. He's concerned 10 years down the road when the clerk changes, all of a sudden some invoice pops up.
I agree, that was my whole thing with it too, that,
Yep.
to make sure that he's not being held responsible somewhere down the road.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'll just give this to you folks. If you don't mind signing it when you have a moment, I can get some copies from Chris tomorrow, and I will make sure Mr. Rudd gets a copy.
All right. I'm just gonna have Chris put this on the town letterhead, that's all.
Okay, sure.
So it's
Yep, I can, I think I can email it to you, Chris, so it's on letterhead, and then,
yeah, we'll go from there.
perfect.
All right. Anything else you have here?
I don't think so.
All right.
I don't think so. I think that was it, right?
Well, thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it always.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Martin,
Yes.
you're up.
Dufresne Rentals. Starting to get into that season again. On September 17th, 2023, we have a family reunion arriving at 11 a.m., departing at 7 p.m. Maximum number of people, 50 plus, no liquor. They are requesting the parking lot area, the open field, the wooded areas on either side of the open field, and the pavilion. And we have, summer concerts are starting up again. We have one on June 20th, 2023, arriving at 4 p.m., departing at 8 p.m. This is for the gazebo and the lawn area. We have, again, we have on June 20th, 2023, we have a 40th anniversary boxed lunch by the Friends of Granby Elderly, arriving at 2 p.m., departing at 6 p.m., which will be before the concert on that same day. Maximum number of people, 100, and they are looking at using the pavilion. Our second summer concert will be on July 18th, 2023, arriving 4 p.m., departing 8 p.m., maximum number of people 300, and it's at the gazebo and the lawn area. And then the last summer concert is for August 15th, 2023, arriving 4 p.m., departing 8 p.m., maximum number of people is 300, and again, that is the gazebo and the lawn area.
Chris, did you say for the 6/20 at 2 to 6 p.m., the 40th anniversary, was that the Friends of the Council on Aging?
Friends of the Granby Elderly.
Granby Elderly. Thank you.
Okay. Next item is, under me is GCAM. I did receive the financial records. We have started to go through them. However, before I think the town jumps forward to take over the operation of the GCAM, I think we should petition or ask if there's any nonprofit out there who would like to take it over before the town assumes operation or considers assuming operations. Seeing how it's currently being operated by a nonprofit, it would probably be nice if another nonprofit who maybe has some experience in the arts or in media, if they are interested, would express an interest to the board, and that way it wouldn't be as difficult changing the type of ownership. So I just want to put that out to the board if you want to consider doing that, putting out a plea on GCAM and seeing if maybe there is somebody who would like to assume the operations of the current Granby Community Access Media.
When did Mr. Bell say that he was done? What was the time?
As soon as he can,
Okay.
basically, but I think if it run, he wanted to be done by June, but I think if it runs a little bit longer, he's willing to maybe go a little bit longer, but it's not an indefinite time.
Okay.
Where would you reach out to these other programs?
I suppose we could put a public service announcement in the town reminder, in the Sentinel. Like I said, have GCAM maybe put something on their bulletin board. Don't know. It's hard to say.
So what are you thinking, like another nonprofit that has to do with the same type of, like GCAM, the same type of business?
Well, I know in some of the smaller communities, I'll use my community. When we first started our Montague Community Access Channel, the town of Greenfield's board of director ran it for a while to get it going. Or actually, Montague TV started, they were in over their head, they were ready to go belly up. So the Greenfield board of directors came in, ran it for a while, got it back on its feet, running, and then found another board of directors from Montague to be able to do it. I'm just saying, maybe one of the surrounding communities would be willing to assist us for the time being, to get through this hump until we can rebuild the GCAM board of directors and get it up and running and get the operations running smoothly again. To hire a director to do certain things, people who have experience with that. I don't have experience with it, I'll tell you that much. I've never run a TV station.
I mean, it's a good idea. I think it's where if you can have someone that can come in for a period of time to run it, that has the experience of, as you said, as the same type of like another town has the same type of channel, news and the access for the towns. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I definitely like it to be eventually in the hands of the town. But that's just where I am. But I mean, I'm not opposed, like you said, to find someone in a couple months to actually pick up everything and run it. I think it might be difficult. Like I said, it may be nice if it is a possibility to have, if possible, one of the surrounding communities to, get us over that bridge. We can have the needed people to run it and run it the way it needs to be. Without just kind of. It sounds like the people that are doing it now are just they don't want to do it anymore. So.
Well, just to share a little bit with you, I was contacted by one of my former colleagues about an organization that helped another community and gave me the contact information for that organization and said, why don't you call them and see if maybe they can help us in our endeavors. Just, I have no clue how to run a TV station, sorry.
No,
but-
and like you said, if the town ends up taking it over and, the town ends up hiring someone to run it, then I have no idea what the qualifications would be or what it takes to run the access channel. So those are things we probably would need.
Yeah. Dealing with programming and
Right.
the whole 9 yards and, keeping up with the equipment, making sure it
Right.
keeps up being modern and the whole 9 yards. It's just,
And Chris, when you said the Greenfield Board of Directors, that was of a nonprofit that was running the?
that was the
Okay.
people who ran the Greenfield Community Access Channel.
Okay.
Don't ask me what their
Acronym
moniker
is.
was
Yeah,
at that
that's
point.
right.
That was many years ago when they did that, but I'm just saying, it's been done before, where one community's helped another community.
I know the frustration with the people on the board, they want to be done. But if this can work, I'm up for it. Get somebody else.
Well, that's just it. If it's something that will work, and I want to have respect for for Mr. Bale, who wants to part ways, and
Yeah.
I think it's fair to him too that we
Exactly.
try to do it as soon as possible. So I mean, we can start looking and see what's out there. Chris, you said there's someone that you can contact now, and we can start moving forward with that. Like I said, if anything, we need someone to really help us with what our needs are going to be for GCAM if the town does take over responsibility of it. Which I like eventually to see that it is in the town's hands.
But, again, how would I say it? I don't want to say this incorrectly, but a lot of times when a municipality takes over a function, sometimes politics enters into it. Where if it's run by a separate entity, the politics stay out of it.
And it's just a service. I know exactly what you mean.
I don't know if I'm saying it the right way to the board, but
Yeah.
if we're responsible for appointing everybody who operates that media channel, can politics run into it by who you appoint to the positions? And that's all I'm saying.
No, but like I said, I think GCAM's been running well for many years. I just think when I say the town, where you have a person that's responsible for running it, it's a town employee. That's what I'm looking at.
Well, right now, I think the membership elects a board of directors of the nonprofit, and then the nonprofit hires the director. They're not a town employee, okay? Where if it does become a town department, then they do become a town employee. I just want to avoid any potential future issues. I'm not saying anything with this current board. I think this current board would be fine. But again, you never know what the future holds. Who's going to be replacing the current board members? Who's going to be sitting in those seats? And at some point, who knows? If you stay at 3 members, all it takes is 2 members to have the channel go in a certain direction. And that's all I'm saying.
Right, to what my point is in that the town controls the direction the channel goes in versus a committee
So,
down the road. And I think I think, GCAN's been done well, and I think been fortunate, but as you said, you can have a committee of 3, and 2 people want to go a certain direction, then, I think it's something to discuss down the road. But I think right now we need to get over the hurdle that we have in front of us right now. And that's, to get us to where we can have the current board, Mr. Bale, to kind of step down and give the responsibility to somebody else. So, and I think that might be, at this point, seeing as there's a nonprofit that's willing to take it over at this point.
okay.
And nobody on the current membership wants anything to do with?
According to Mr. Bale, no.
Okay,
I just can go by what he's been telling me.
yeah, okay.
And like I said, I know when Mark was here, there was a lot of, he didn't realize how much went into it. So that's why,
It's a
respect
time
to that.
commitment.
Yeah,
And actually, he
Time
did it
and knowledge.
to help a friend.
yeah,
Emery
Yeah.
is the one who asked him
Right.
to help because he was moving out of town,
Yeah.
and Mark stepped up, and
Yeah. So.
I think he found out real quick, he doesn't know how to run a TV channel either.
Well, no, but like I said, it takes time and takes knowledge.
Yes.
That's, we need to have, the right people in place for it. Okay.
So what do we want to do? Have Chris reach out, post something?
He says, it sounds like he has someone that reached out, he can reach out to the nonprofit, and we can start there.
Okay.
Okay.
But also any other nonprofit, as you said, we could put something out there. Right now it's through GCAN as well. If someone else is interested in it, absolutely. Like I said, it's.
Well, we can always put it out on
bridge.
the police Facebook page. That gets a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah,
readership, so
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll spread it around.
Yeah.
Spread the word.
something of that
try to get it
nature.
out there, yeah. And then, we'll see where we are, maybe 2 weeks from now at our next meeting. And then, go from there. Actually, I think it's 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's April, yeah. So in 3 weeks, we'll see where we are, and we can, reassess it
Okay.
at that time. That sounds good to everybody?
yeah, so,
Yes.
Chris will reach out to his contact, police Facebook page. Do you still want to put it in the town reminder too? I think the more places we look, the more, as long as if your contact's interested, then that would obviously be the best option.
Right.
But if they're not interested, then we can explore the other avenues.
So, okay. I just wanted to put it out to the board, that's all.
We're always open to options.
So, okay. And the last thing under me is I met with Representatives Dom and Carey today. This was their annual visit to find out what they can do for the town, just like Senator Oliveira contacted us. And basically I went over that we had an application in for a planning grant with the EOEEA for the Forge Pond Dam, and to see if they could assist us with pushing that grant forward. I did mention about the 2 Commonwealth one-stop projects that we submitted, one for the West Street building and the other for infrastructure within the town, mainly water and sewer. And they were interested in that one a little bit because, like they said, a lot of the town is private water, and with the issue of rising groundwaters, that we are finding that the potential for contamination of private wells is increasing. And if we could find a way of getting a municipal water system in here, that could alleviate that potential future issue. So they were very supportive. And they also asked to be able to take a tour of the West Street facility. So we made an appointment for that. And also Senator Oliveira's office is also interested in touring the facility.
Is it possible to, you can check with them, but set up a tour time when the board can go with them?
Well, the two representatives, in their schedules, they were trying to make it for, hold on a second. It was school vacation week,
Oh,
and it was,
you guys can go.
We know that doesn't work.
and it was, hold on. April 21st at 2:30.
I can do that. To Friday.
And the senator was planning on coming in April 7th at noon time, but we asked if maybe he would want to tour with the other two.
Yeah, it makes sense for all three of them to go together.
So we sent an email out to his office today, and we're waiting to hear back. If we get all three of them to walk through at the same time, just to see what the plans are for the building and the condition and what our vision is for the building. So,
Well, you can make the 21st.
I can.
I can't, but fill me in, fill me up.
so,
I'm in DC that week.
yeah, no, that's fine.
And you can make the 21st, you said?
I can make the 21st and I can make the 7th because it's Good Friday. There's no school on Friday.
There you go.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with
All
that.
right. So if we can do the 21st, I think at 2:30, that'll make it work, so.
Okay.
You can FaceTime me.
But like I said, we're waiting to hear back from the senator's office.
So if that doesn't work, then can you just bring it back to us? Because I think at least someone on the board should be present at that time.
Yeah.
If not all of us.
And that's fine.
but, yeah.
It's fine.
Is the committee going? The West Street Building Committee? Are they gonna be there too? Good.
All right. I just want to, it's okay with everybody, jump ahead quickly to some of our old business. And
Yeah.
in regards to the 2-day liquor license. And just based on what Chief O'Grady was saying, their current application, does it state 10:15?
Their application actually is asking for 10:30, but no, the current one that was typed up says 10 for Friday, but 10:15 for Saturday.
Okay, so you want to ask if they want to, if Chief O'Grady said that he was okay with that, going to 10:15 on Friday?
Yeah, he was okay on both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
so-
going on what he was gonna do.
Right, so but their application says 10 o'clock, so do you want to have them resubmit an application? So it would,
No, we would just have to print up the permit.
Right.
Reprint the permit
Yeah.
and sign it at your next meeting.
all right,
So
so
we
their
can-
application doesn't,
Their application asked for 10:30.
Right, the chief is
Okay.
agreeing to 10:15,
Okay.
which is what we did last year. So we can still approve it with the change to 10:15? Or you want to wait and
I think the permit shouldn't have any
discrepancy with it?
Right.
scratching out or.
That's what I want to wait, so, but in just respect, I know there's people here from the 266 Lounge, so we'll bring that up at our next meeting,
24th.
24th,
I think it's 24th.
With all the correct dates on it.
with the correct
If
dates.
they want to say anything else, so that they don't have to come back next time.
24th.
And
Yeah, I think, if you want to step up for a second, just your name and,
Good evening. Steve Kayer, manager of the 266 Lounge Inc.
so, and I know you're here, so you heard the chief speak to the 10:15. Is that something
Yep.
that worked for you? All right. Everything else?
No,
Okay.
this time.
So we're gonna look at doing it at our next scheduled meeting to approve,
sign it.
sign it. We just gotta wait till the documents are correct with the right times.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, and good night.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll put that back in old business.
Yeah. just, I know, having the city in for the whole meeting.
I know.
All right. All right, moving right along. Departmental reports. Everybody had a chance to review them?
Yes.
I didn't.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
No? Crystal?
I should ask the chief when he was here. I had a question about the training because he said he went to a chief's meeting, Mass Chiefs meeting, and he stated that the police officer standard and training or the executive director of post discussed recertification. So I was just curious how many of the officers need to be recertified. That's something I can reach out to him on my own. Just wanted to kind of learn the process and see how that works, that's all.
Yeah, I know what he referred to as be recertified. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious what that meant, recertified for what, but other than that,
Recertified what though?
it says for the next group of officers whose name begins with letters L through P.
Oh, that's for, I think it's for the Bridge Academy.
Oh, okay, so that
yeah,
would be the
that's-
part-timers? Okay.
No, that's, well, yeah, so that's,
Okay.
right, so
Yeah.
with the Bridge Academy, they're doing everybody by alphabet.
Okay.
And that's,
There's one.
right, it's not on the second.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, went from A to H.
Something like that,
And
yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right, anything else, Crystal?
No,
All right, is there for a motion?
I will make a motion to accept the departmental reports.
Is there a
I would
second?
Second that motion.
Any further discussion?
No.
No. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No? Thank you. We have approve and sign maintenance warrants.
So I'll make a motion to approve the payroll warrant. I'm gonna go in order, sorry, hold on a second. I'll start with the first one. Payroll warrant number 59, dated March 24th, 2023, in the amount of $293,884.46.
That would be accounts payable warrant.
Oh, bills payable, right?
Yes.
Bills payable, thank you. So bills payable warrant number 59.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next? Oh, silence, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Next one is the payroll warrant, and it is warrant number 60, and it is dated March 31st, 2023, in the amount of $438,953.17. So I'll make a motion to approve the payroll warrant number 60.
I will second that motion.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
All right, and last one is a payroll maintenance warrant, number 61, dated March 31st, 2023, in the amount of $508,576.77. So I'll make a motion to approve the payroll maintenance warrant number 61.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. These Crystal's signature signature is like the same, every single one.
I know.
Mine's like all different ones.
I think she's got a stamp.
That was the last 4 warrants. We have minutes. And we have minutes from January 17th too. Maybe
Yeah.
do those as well.
So I will make a motion to approve the February 6, 2023 Select Board meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion?
I do have a couple of things, actually. Down at the bottom, here, I'll let you guys look at it because I have my copy. Down at the bottom of the second page, it talks about the Charter Day Committee and the discussion we had when myself and Jen Bernatchez discussed the cost differences. So her name, the spelling is incorrect, but when you go all the way down to the bottom, it said they asked about the beer tent in post 266. They cannot ask them for money since they are a nonprofit, is what I wanted to add there so that people understand why we can't ask them for money. But did say that the Post did sponsor Charter Days for $1,000 in 2019. So it's not that they would sponsor, they did sponsor us in 2019 for $1,000. But the Charter Day Committee has not seen any money this year from the sponsorship. From this meeting. We have since received a $500 sponsorship from them, but that was not this meeting. At this meeting, it was just, we hadn't seen one yet for this year. Or I guess I should say for the 2022.
So what
So
are
I
you-
just wanted to
What are you amending?
amend the last two. So Jen Bernatchez is her last name, so just changing her last name. And then the last two sentences, the second to last sentence should say they asked about the beer tent in post 266, comma, they cannot ask them for money since they are a nonprofit, but did say that the Post sponsored Charter Days for $1,000 in 2019, period. But the Charter Day Committee has not seen any money this year yet. So that is what I was gonna have changed on that page.
Okay, so we can approve the minutes as amended, and then we'll have Chris just update the minutes.
Okay.
You have to give him just if you want Chris to note on here what you want him to.
On this one?
Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll have him amend it.
And then I got
We'll
a
make
little...
the changes, we're actually amending it.
Okay. And then I got a little confused on the correspondence, that first paragraph, because we talked about 2 reports that night. We talked about the report for the Green Communities, annual report that Chris was going to have PVPC DLTA, the District Local Technical Assistance, file for us. And then we also talked about the open space report, and those kind of are jumbled together. So I was going to amend that first sentence under correspondence. So Chris has some correspondence from PVPC DLTA, funding update on potential project, open space plan for funding, and assistance with the annual report for Green Communities.
Right.
Because the Green Communities needs to be filed every year, whereas the open space is every 10 years.
So why don't we do this? Why don't you send your changes to Chris,
Okay,
and then we'll bring them back up at our next meeting
okay.
for approval. 'Cause there's a little bit more than just a couple
Just-
of words.
yeah.
So we'll
Okay.
send your changes to Chris. Chris can make the changes, and we'll bring it back up at our next meeting at this
Okay.
point.
I can do that.
Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
And February 20th.
February 7, or January 17th was the other minutes.
Well,
Oh, this one
yeah.
was from February 6th.
And there are minutes from January 17th. And
Yep, so I will make a motion to approve the minutes from January 17th, 2023 for the Select Board meeting.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I have one amendment. It says old, any other business. The Green Community Grants, we are not eligible for the Green Community Grant this year because the annual report, it said filed by November. I had that crossed off and said was not filed by November 4th for FY 2022. So we will watch for the request next year for the annual report. So just verifying that it was not filed, because it sounds like it was filed. So it was not filed by November 4th for this year. And then I just had a question on the minutes. It says update surveys completed. Chris filed it for technical assistance to map out a plan of action. I didn't know what that was for. A plan of action for, and I put a question mark. I didn't have that in my notes. I can go back to the video
Yeah,
if need be.
Yeah, that goes with the PVPC, right?
That was the DLTA, wasn't it?
So it's
We
the same
filed?
one, update this on surveys? Was that for the open space surveys?
No.
Okay.
Was that one? Oh, God. We had a file by a certain date, and we had to just do it online. We had to complete a survey online.
That was the one I had asked you to do. I know which one you're talking about now.
It was due on a Friday,
Yep.
and I did get it in that day.
Alright.
Which one was that one?
Why don't we just, we'll put this back toward next
No,
meeting?
it's just that I don't remember which
The
one
name
I
of the
Right,
was
so
doing.
survey.
it's, but you're looking for the name of the survey, right?
I can't remember it off the top of my
Is
head.
that the only thing you're looking to change?
Yeah. The November 4th and then the survey name.
It's the same thing, we don't know the name, so we can't really, we can't approve it without letting know
It's,
the
I
name.
know it's in the video too.
Well, it should be.
Yeah. I might actually have it here, hold on. Oh, here, January 17th. No, I think I had that written down at home. These
Alright,
are my
so we'll
scribbles
just-
before meeting.
We'll do the same, for our next meeting, we'll bring up both minutes for approval. We need a name, so that way the name will just be entered into the minutes.
Would it be easier next time if I just email the changes ahead of time, Chris? And then we can just kind of look at them and then,
Has
that way
to-
it doesn't have to keep waiting and waiting?
Well, it has to be,
Approved by the board
no,
first?
no, it just has to get to Dale because she's the one who keeps the minutes. I don't have
Oh, okay, so
the
email
minutes
Dale them?
on any of my records or
Okay,
the areas I can get to.
Yeah.
so I'll email
Right,
Dale then.
Especially if it's something,
That's a little more in
right, and
depth.
especially if it's something that you're speaking directly to as well.
Okay.
Because you know what you said, so. Alright. We have a sewer permit 23-196 for 416 Miller Street.
Yes. You now have a request for another connection to the sewer system. 416 Miller Street is basically East Street in South Hadley. They're right on the line there. They did file a permit. They did give a drawing of the proposed connection to the pipe in the street. And the board just has to approve the connection.
All right, so I will make a motion to approve the permit number 23-196 of the disposal works construction permit. Permission is hereby granted to Michael and Charlene Roman to construct a sewer or drain at 416 Miller Street in Granby, Mass. as shown in the application to install sewer drain connection number 23-196 dated March 27th, 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? No?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? At this time, before we move on to number 5, our annual election warrant, I'm going to ask the board if we can take a quick recess, maybe like a 2-minute recess. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
All right, we are now back in session. Thank you for allowing that short but needed recess. All right, moving along, our annual election warrant.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Town of Granby Annual Town Election Warrant. To one of the constables of the Town of Granby in the County of Hampshire, greetings. The name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town qualified to vote in elections to meet at the Granby Junior Senior High School at 385 East State Street in said town for precincts 1, 2, and 2A on Monday, the 15th day of May, 2023 from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Then and there to cast their votes for the following offices. For 3 years, a select board member, an assessor, a board of health member, 2 school committee members, a commissioner of burial grounds, and 3 public library trustees. For 2 years unexpired term, a school committee member. For 5 years, a housing authority member and a planning board member. And you are hereby directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof at 5 or more public places as of the bylaws before the time of said meeting. Hereof fail not and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of meeting as aforesaid. Given under our hands this 3rd day of April and the year of our Lord 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? No? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay.
I read it, I signed it, and I
Oh.
kept it. This is the sewer one we just...
No, because we went to a recess. Oh, sorry. Good job, Rick.
Oh, we found the bottom.
Thank you. No, sir. All right. We have common vic licenses for approval.
First one is common victualer's license number 23-33. This is to certify that David, I'm sorry if I butcher this last name, Kaskeski, doing business as Dave's Natural Garden at 35 Amherst Street in Granby, Mass. 01033, is hereby granted a common victualer's license in the town of Granby, in that place only, and expires December 31st, 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Next one is common victualer's license 23-32. This is to certify that Sapowski's Farm at 434 East State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033 is hereby granted a common victualer's license in said town of Granby, in that place only, and expires December 31st, 2023. So I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Next one is to make a motion to approve common vic license 23-30 to certify that Local Burger at 16 Main Street in Northampton, Mass. 01060 is hereby granted a common vicular's license in said 32 Kendall Street, Dufresne Park Charter Days, Town of Granby, in that place only, and expires December 31st, 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
All right, first I will make a motion to approve the permit fee waiver request by the First Presbyterian Church at 160 West State Street in Granby, Mass. 01033 for the common victualers license because they are a nonprofit.
Okay. Is there a
I will second that.
Any further discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Next, I will make a motion to approve common vicular license 23-31 to certify that First Presbyterian Church at 160 West State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033 is hereby granted a common victualer's license in said Town of Granby in that place only and expires December 31st, 2023.
Second that motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Okay. Thank you.
This one is going to be a craft fair, outdoor craft fair permit. So FM, what's FM for? That abbreviation?
Flea market.
Flea market, okay. So flea market 23-01. This is to certify that Granby Preservation Society at 250 State Street in Granby, Mass. is hereby granted an outdoor craft fair permit to be held at the above location on May 13th, 2023. The license is granted in conformity with the statutes and ordinances relating thereto and expires at 3:01 p.m. on the final day of the craft fair unless sooner suspended or revoked.
For a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
And I do have, they don't have the original form that we supplied them filled out, but she has a paper here that says that they're a 5013C or C3. So do they have to fill out that form to give them approval for the waiver? Okay.
If you're willing to accept what document they provide you, then
Okay. So I will make a motion to waive the craft fair fee, or the permit for it, because they are a nonprofit 501c3.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? Okay. It's not on the form that we originally have it on.
Yeah.
Usually request them to fill out the
Yeah.
document so we can verify all the information, but we do know them.
Was there the same? Yeah, she's got her exempt number right here.
That's the one we do every year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so everybody's okay moving out the form?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Chris, is there somewhere on here that you want me to signify that, or you'll, okay.
And we have a Charter Days contract, Have Alligator, Will Travel.
Yes. So this is a Have Alligator Will Travel Entertainment Engagement Agreement. This agreement dated March 3rd, 2023 between Charter Days, Granby, Mass. Contractor and Have Alligator Will Travel, Jim Multoon. Entertainer confirms the following. So it will be at the park. Address, he has his Granby, Mass, but it will be 32 Kendall Street, June 9th through 11th. Price agreed upon is $2,500, and the contractor will pay the entertainer $2,500 by check at the show. And special instructions is it's a wildlife show and display at Granby Charter Days. Do you want me to read the 6 through 9 of the contract as well?
Yes.
So, okay, so the entertainer is an independent contractor and assumes all responsibility for withholding tax, social security, state tax, public liability, and workman's compensation insurance. If the entertainer should be unable to perform due to sickness prior to the commencement of this engagement, or if the entertainer should, prior to the commencement of the engagement, be unable to perform due to conditions beyond his control, death, fire, civil tumult, act of God, then upon either event this contract is canceled. The entertainer shall at all times have complete supervision, direction, and control over the services on this engagement, and expressly reserves the right to control the manner, means, and details of the performance of services, as well as to the ends to be accomplished. The entertainer reserves the right to cancel this contract up to 7 days prior to the event with no obligation to contractor. So I don't know if you guys remember him, but he's always against the tree line, and he does the alligators, the birds. He puts on a really good show for the kids.
Goes by Bwana Jim.
Yes, Bwana Jim. So I would make a motion to not only approve the contract, but to give permission for Chris Martin to sign the contract on behalf of us.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. Put it off to the side so Chris can, who knows he's gonna sign it. And now we have West Street Building Review Committee appointment.
Yes, unfortunately, one of the members had to resign, Gabe Pula, due to personal family commitments and not being able to make the meetings, not able to make enough of the meetings to be a contributing member. So we do have a new appointment. It's Kevin O'Grady. Our police chief has agreed to step in and fill the vacancy, and I'd like to have the appointment go through June 30th of 2023.
So I want to meet with Mr. O'Grady beforehand.
I don't know who he is.
I'm good with Mr. O'Grady.
I will make a motion to approve Kevin O'Grady on the West Street Building Review Committee.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, and I should make a motion for Chris Martin as town administrator to sign the appointment.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That's nice of Kevin to take that on.
Yeah, what he did, he went and attended one of their meetings first and just saw how they operated, and
Good.
he enjoyed it.
Good.
Plus, he has a promise of getting brownies at every meeting, so that helps.
Very open spots, no? All right, I believe that's it for, on our agenda. If anybody wants to have anything that brought up at our next meeting, which is April 24th, so everybody knows, we will not have a meeting 2 weeks from now due to, one, because of the holiday, and then it was going to be rescheduled to,
2 of the board members were going to not be in town.
I was getting to that.
Yep.
Yes, but 2 of the board members will not be in town, so that's why it's been rescheduled for 3 weeks out, just so everybody is aware of that. Okay. Is that it?
So, for the next meeting, Chris, and you actually might be able to answer this question now, did you receive, because sometimes the one-stop for growth grants, they send you an email, like an automatic email right away saying that they're sending it out to the different departments, and then sometimes the departments get back to you within a week or two, so I wasn't sure
No
if you heard
departments have
that.
gotten back to me.
Okay,
I did have that email that it was currently being reviewed.
okay, but no follow-up since then?
No.
Okay. And then I had sent an email to you about 3 weeks ago about the COA hiring committee. So
Yeah,
do you want me to give you new dates?
Are
at this
you
point?
sworn in now too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I was waiting to hear if everybody got sworn in. I
Oh,
just checked
okay.
with Robin. She told me she got sworn in. I'm
Okay.
sworn in, so now I'll send an email out to get some dates together.
Okay, perfect. And then, did you hear anything back from them, PVPC, about the annual report for the green communities or open space yet?
I gotta get some of the information out to them. I think some of it has to come from the building inspector. So,
Okay. But PVPC did, because I know you said you drove the open space application to them for assistance that day.
No, I haven't heard back on anything
Okay.
on that one.
On that one, okay.
No. I thought
I was
you were
worried about-
talking green community stuff, so. sorry.
That one and this one. So green communities, you're gonna get back to her on it, and then open space, we're still waiting to hear if they even have it or if they're processing it?
Yep, haven't heard a
Okay.
word if they've awarded it or not yet.
Okay. And, did they start the dredging, study? Because they were gonna start.
Well, they
it.
were out on a boat because
Yeah.
the police department did receive a call wondering why people were out on a boat on the pond.
Yeah.
So, and
Okay.
I had already forwarded that to the chief, so the chief was able
Aware of
to
it.
take care of that.
Okay.
That concerns citizens.
Okay.
And then you already answered my GCAM questions. And then, do we have I know we were waiting for a special town meeting, but we didn't have enough warrants to have one, to justify the 3,000. But in the meantime, we have a park that's unusable for our children in our town. And we have our annual town celebration coming up. So I don't know if there's anything we can do about it to get it in workable order for our annual town celebration. I know our annual town meeting obviously is coming up, but I don't know if that gives us enough time, because we had the low bidder, but we had to appropriate funds, right?
We don't have spending authority.
Right, so,
That's the
which
problem.
has to go in front of the town.
Correct.
So, we would just have to wait for the annual town meeting, which doesn't give any time to have it ready for the annual
Nope.
town celebration.
Nope.
Okay. That's
No,
a
it's
bummer.
just- it is, it's just unfortunate, but
Yeah.
the cost that goes into
Renovate.
having, well,
Yeah.
to have a town meeting, you know, so that was to have more things on it, just to bring people together for a quick meeting like that. So
Right.
That was the concern, so.
All right, and then the other question I had too, just because I feel like I'm confused at what the committee, the West Street Building Review Committee is tasked to do. So I guess I just want clarification on what that committee is doing. I know we tasked them with getting the size of the offices that each department would need. And I thought we were waiting for the update from the architect on how much it would cost to either raise and rebuild or to renovate. And now I feel like I don't know what the committee is doing, I guess. Like what they're being tasked with besides those two things, because I thought that's what they were originally tasked with. And then they were walking through the building and looking at the condition of it now, if anything's changed. And I guess I just want to clarify, like, what is happening? What is the committee's tasks, and what are we asking them to do, I guess? Because I feel like I'm
So we're supposed to
confused on
answer,
it.
are we doing this now, or is that, it's not on the agenda? Is this something for
No,
next meeting?
That's for our next meeting.
Yeah,
That-
so
that's
it's
in depth,
clarifying
yeah.
what,
Okay.
what we're having the committee do.
We'll bring that up
I
our
guess.
next meeting, because that's a little in-depth. We've
Okay.
talked about before, but that's something that, it's a totally different subject to bring up, so we'll hold off to our next meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, one last thing. So it has been brought to my attention a couple of things that a couple of people in the town offices are concerned with. And I don't really know how to go about doing this. But when I spoke to someone of legal counsel, it was suggested, because it was a personnel issue, that to request an executive session about the performance of this position. So I don't know if that's the standard, if that's how we do it. So I'm kind of leaning on you guys, because this is my first time being involved with it, but it's concern that many people in the other town buildings or town departments have that they have brought to me. And obviously I want you guys to know about it, but I also want respect for that person who's in that position where I'm not bringing it up on GCAM in front of everyone. So
Well-
I would request an executive session to talk about the performance of this said position.
I don't think that falls under executive session under
Yeah.
performance.
Okay.
Perform-
So should we start with, as far as the performance review process of non-contract employees, how does that work?
Well, if they're non-contracted, then they have a supervisor. Everybody should have a supervisor.
They're skipping over the whole thing. There's a chain of command they should be following. The complaint needs to be filed,
Okay.
and then the next step up the line. They shouldn't just go to us right away.
Okay. And if the complaint is with the person in charge?
Then we'll follow up on it.
Yeah.
And
So how
yeah,
do I
guess-
do that, I guess?
well,
Or what do I advise them to do?
Let us,
So it's their supervisor, so it should go to the next person's supervisor.
so let's table this to our next meeting and follow up with town council.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, do you want me to follow up with town council, since I know of the complaint?
If you know it's been brought to you, is it, I guess, is it a formal complaint or just someone just had said it to you? Because if it's not a formal complaint, then we're not gonna act
So a
on
formal
it.
complaint needs to be in writing?
Yes.
Okay.
It's gotta be a formal complaint for us to act on it. If someone's just telling you about something, that's something different.
Okay. And when do the performance reviews get done? Because I've been on here for almost a year, so I just had a question on like how that works. When do we do them?
We don't do that.
You don't-
Department heads.
Right, the department, the only person that falls under our purview is Mr. Martin.
Yeah.
And he falls under me as his liaison to the board.
Okay. So in the contract, it says it's done twice a year. And that each select board member gets to fill out a paper based on the personnel board. So do we get that, like when does that happen, I guess, is my question.
It's our, when we choose to do it,
Okay.
so. Anything else?
No.
No? Anything else? Mr.?
No.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this time.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion at this time? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.